Welcome to the Property Playbook, where I do believe that in order to win in real estate, you have to have a game plan. My name is Andrea Robson, Marrón Realty, and I'm here with Stewart Good with Alcova Mortgage, and he's going to explain to us what it looks like to refinance a home loan. How are you doing, Stewart?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me today.
Of course. Thank you for being here. So this is the Property Playbook. Now, I love all things football, which is basically the reason why I made this channel. Do you like football?
No, I don't like football. I'm in love with football.
Oh.
All things football.
You do? Okay. So who's your favorite team?
So in the NFL, I'm a Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan.
Interesting.
Go Bucks.
Okay.
College football, I like the Michigan Wolverines.
Interesting. Twice. Isn't the Wolverines and Ohio State rivals?
They are biggest rivals. I hate those guys.
Oh my gosh. My husband, he's from Ohio. He's huge Ohio State. Okay. Good news. Okay. So I'm Go Birds, since we do know that. But it's still considering nice to have you. Nice to have you on here. I kind of do want to just dive into it and just ask you a couple of questions.
All right,
okay, so first off, what is refinancing?
So refinancing, there's a few different ways you can refinance.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the ways you can refinance is to change your interest rate. So some people have a higher interest rate and they want to lower their interest rate in order to get a lower payment so the house can be more affordable for them.
Okay.
So they do what we call a rate and term refinance.
Okay.
Okay. The other way you can refinance is you can actually use the equity in your house. So if you have a lot of equity built in your house, so say the house is, you owe $100,000 on the house and the house is worth $300,000, you can pull some of that equity out, increase your loan amount, probably drop your interest rate just depending on what the rates are, and use that money for different things. If you want to build a swimming pool, if you want to pay for your kids' college, if you want to just do any types of, building on the home, you can use that money for that. Or you can just keep the money and go gamble, whatever you want to do.
I go gamble. So that kind of sounds familiar to HELOC, though, or home equity line of credit. So that's kind of the same thing, home equity loan.
Yeah, so a HELOC and refinancing is different. So with a HELOC, you're just getting the equity from the home without refinancing the terms that you already have on your loan.
Okay.
So a HELOC comes into place when someone has a COVID interest rate, like the 2s and the 3s.
Fabulous.
And they just want to use the equity without changing that rate for the long term.
Okay, and the refinancing, you would probably change the rate.
Yeah.
Okay. So with refinancing, how would that affect my current home loan?
So it depends on how we're doing the refinance. So if we are refinancing that loan, then it's going to either affect the interest rate in a good way or a bad way, just depending on what the market is.
Yep.
If we're trying to get a lower payment, then your rate is higher and we're lowering that payment. It's going to affect it with you having a lower monthly payment. If you're doing a cash out refinance, then you are pulling equity out, which is going to increase your payment. And if you're going from like the COVID rates where you're at the 2s and 3s now to where rates are in the 6s, then you will have a higher payment. So that's kind of how it will affect
it. Okay. So I know sometimes when it comes to refinancing, let's say, okay, I want to refinance. I want to change my interest rate. If I had like a higher interest rate beforehand, will the same terms apply? Like if I lived in a house for 10 years and I have 20 years left, will I still have the same 20 years left? Or if I refinance, I could go back to 30 years?
Well, we can actually do a refinance to where we can do it with the same terms that you have. So if you've knocked off 10 years, we can refinance it, lower that rate, and keep you at the 20 years that you have left. You don't have to go back to 30 years.
Oh,
you can.
Okay.
You can if you want to, because some people will do that. Some people will refinance, take it back to a 30-year, and get a lower rate, so that payment goes way down. Because
because it's longer in time stamp.
Yeah.
Okay, I was wondering, like, why would people start over?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some people's goal is not to pay off the home, some people's goal is to use the equity in the home to do certain things.
Okay.
Some people just want to have a low payment because they look at it the same way, they look at renting. So they're going to be paying something each month. Let me take that back to a 30-year, get my payment lower.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Do you see more of the 30-year versus the keep the same term?
Yes. There are some people that are specific with, all right, I've already done these years. I'm going to, finish the rest of it out. And most people go with what's going to be best on the pocket.
Understand. Okay. Strategies.
Yeah.
Game plans. Playbook. So are there any costs associated with refinancing?
Yes, there are costs with refinancing. First thing, if you purchase a house and you use me to purchase the house, then I can do a refinance for you with no lender fees, reimbursement on the appraisal, and lower fees for the title work. So just going into that, if you're just refinancing your home, there are lender fees, there are title fees out there, so you have to pay the attorney to work the refinance, and then of course you have to pay an appraisal, things like that.
You gotta pay the appraisal too?
Sometimes. Sometimes you will get an appraisal waiver, just depending on the loan to value and what kind of loan it is.
Okay, so they're within house, a lot of your fees are waived.
Yeah.
However, if someone has a loan with someone else and they want to come to you, then that's when the additional fees are applied.
Right, yep, the typical fees that you would get when refinancing.
Okay. So when would it be beneficial for home buyers to refinance?
So it will all depend on the client. So it's on a per client basis. So if a person is in a place where they have a high payment and rates are extremely low, they can refinance. So I would say if the rates that are out there are lower than 1% or more of your current rate, then that's a good time to refinance. So that would be a beneficial time to refinance. Or if you are in need of money and you have a lot of equity in your house, that's a beneficial time for you to be able to refinance.
Okay. You know what? I have a good question. So can you only refinance once?
No.
Or how many times? Do you have a limit for you to refinance?
There's no limit to the times that you can refinance. Just the limit as far as time frame before you can refinance again is a certain thing. So
okay. So it's like I can't refinance 1 week and then 2 weeks later I'm going to refinance again.
Right.
Okay.
You might have to wait like 6 months depending on the type of loan. So FHA is typically 6 months. Conventional, it will vary on those.
Okay. Because you hear, you can buy a home and then you can just refinance. You just hear that kind of all the time, especially right now because interest rates are high. How do you feel about that term or that phrase?
Well, that's a great phrase to give people, and when you give that, you want to be able to give a little bit more with that.
Correct.
So
yes.
You can buy and then refinance. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time before you can refinance, like the 6 months for FHA. But one of the biggest things is you want to make sure you're not running your debts up to where you can't afford to refinance because your debt to income is too high. So a lot of people will purchase a home and then they'll turn around and purchase a car when they were already a tight debt to income ratio, and now they can't refinance because the debt to income ratio is not
too
there.
High. Okay, so in other words, when you buy your house, you're working on your credit. Don't just blow your credit because now you bought your home.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense. This was very helpful, very informative. Thank you so much, Stewart, the Buccaneer fan. Can you let the people know how to get in contact with you in case they want to refinance or if they want to have a loan through you?
Absolutely. You can give me a call anytime, 803-493-7643. I'm sure she'll have it on the screen here as well. My email address is stewart.good@alcova.com. And then you can also reach me on social, Instagram, StewG25 Mortgages, and then on Facebook, Stewart Good.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Stewart. My name is Andrea Robson, Marrón Realty. And if you're in the market to buy or sell a home in Charlotte, North Carolina, feel free to contact me. And until then, I'll see you next time on the Property Playbook.